Okay, here's the problem with getting older. I mean, there's so many problems, but vision. I need readers. I need to have readers in my bedside table drawer. I need to have readers in my car console, by my computer, in the kitchen. It's very stressful to walk around needing glasses and then having scratched up glasses, and getting new ones just feels like it's like you have to plan a small wedding. You have to schedule an appointment. You have to sit in a waiting room flipping through ancient magazines. And then you get the hard sell on lens upgrades and fork over what feels like a car payment. Enter Zenni Optical, which honestly should have been put into existence decades ago. You pick frames online, you upload your prescription, they ship to your door. Prescription glasses, sunglasses, and blue light blockers starting at under $30. No, not a typo, $30. And here's where it gets so fun. At that price, you stop treating glasses like that precious heirloom. You get the serious work ones, you get the ridiculous statement ones that only match one outfit, and then get backups for your backups, because why not? You can't afford not to. They've got over 150,000 five-star reviews, plus virtual try-ons so you can see how frames actually look on your face before committing. No more buying blind and praying to the eyewear gods. Honestly, I'm just mad that I spent so many years overpaying when this existed the whole time. And you know what's honestly changed the most in my life, thanks to Zenni, is having the options, having the backup. I like to be prepared, and I like to have what I need when I need it. And now I have many pairs of glasses. Thank you to Zenni. If your glasses are overdue for a refresh, now is the time. Go to zenni.com/podcast and use code podcast15 for 15% off your first order. The styles do sell out, so don't sit on it. That's Z, or Zed if you're in Canada, zenni.com/podcast, promo code podcast15.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Welcome back to A Little Bit Culty, everybody.
This is part of our Where Are They Now series, as promised, with Mark Vicente, author, speaker, filmmaker, and one of the voices who helped turn The Vow into required viewing for anyone who ever said, "That sounds a little bit culty."
We first spoke with Mark back in Season 3, and since then he's been doing what he does best, using film to drag manipulation out of the shadows and into the light where it cannot hide behind buzzwords, branding, or fake smile wellness glow.
And by branding, we mean like marketing branding. To be clear, his latest project, Narcissist Playbook, is a feature-length documentary. You may have noticed, if you listened to our Reload throwback episode last week with Dr. Ramani, that he's been working on this for quite some time. This documentary pulls back the curtain on the psychological abuse with expert insight, survivor testimony, and some truly jaw-dropping confessions from self-aware narcissists. I didn't even know that was a thing.
The film makes the case that the same manipulation tactics show up in intimate relationships, workplaces, dysfunctional families, and even authoritarian systems, just scaled up or down depending on the venue.
What makes it especially remarkable is that it's been entirely funded by survivors. Mark and his team are still raising money for marketing, advertising, and outreach, and putting the film in theaters themselves. So head over to www.narcissistplaybook.com to watch the trailer, share it, donate, do whatever you can to support this important mission.
You'll remember we interviewed survivors Bentino Massaro organization right here on ALBC in 2022. Mark has since gone deep on that story, where he talks to survivors about experiences inside the organization. It's part of a much larger TV series he's been developing for the past 5 years. That's available on his podcast, WTF is on My Mind.
So yes, Mark is doing a lot in this space, and he knows the terrain from the inside. from his years as a filmmaker of What the Bleep Do We Know to his role in exposing NXIVM, and now his ongoing work unpacking malignant narcissism, coercion, and the mechanics of abuse. So in this conversation, we catch up, because we love to do that, on his life, what he's been building, and why he's so fired up about telling these stories, and how he's trying to turn hard-earned lessons into real-world tools for survivors and awareness for the world.
Hope you enjoyed this two-part catch-up with our friend and colleague, Mark Vicente.
Mark Vicente of the filming
industry.
It's a wide net. That's a wide net. What kind of filming?
You might not know this because you've been busy with your pod, but we've been doing a series called Where Are They Now?
I did see that, actually. I did see it. I saw you did Isabel, I think.
We did Isabel. Yeah. And you're the second. You're the second series.
This is you. We just sprung it on you.
Where are you, Mark? Sprung it on me. You didn't spring it. Well, you may have sprung it on me, but your producers actually had reached out like months ago, and I forgot. And I was, by the way, intending shameless plug.
Oh, thank you.
I was going to read this. Well, I actually skimmed through the entire thing. I read a bunch of sections, but I had to skim through some of it because some of the stuff I knew, I kept on going through. Yeah. But let me just give it a shameless plug quickly. I think it's a super important book, like super important. And I think that what's amazing about it is you show the pattern and then you show all the examples of like how the pattern plays out, which I think is very important. And also the stuff at the end, about recovery, about advice and stuff like that. I think that's like super important because a lot of people reach out and say like, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, well, we didn't exactly heal and we went to war. And I don't know, maybe heal a little bit, before you go to war. And do you want to go to war? Because maybe war isn't the best way, but super important book. So well done, guys. Well done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the chapter Heal Before You Holler. At one point it was Heal Before You Squeal. Then we didn't want to be a pig.
I think holler's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the Dylan quote, huh? You sent the Dylan quote last night.
I loved it. I'm going to read it quickly. I'm going to read it again. Okay. So it says, could be the Führer, could be the local priest. Sometimes Satan comes as a man of peace. Bob Dylan, man of peace. I'm like, dude, that's wisdom right there.
He was ahead of his time.
Good song. Listen, people who don't get Dylan, I think they go, oh, he can't sing, he can't whatever. Dylan's, and they think he was prophetic. And one of the things about that movie is like, oh, the left thought he was political. He was apolitical.
Yeah,
his songs were like, they're prophetic, but they're also kind of like warnings. There's a great album of his called Infidels. And he made it like in 1980 or something like that. And he has Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits on it. And he has Mick Taylor, who's the Rolling Stones guitarist from 68 to 74, in my opinion, when the Stones did their best work. And it's such a good album. It has Joker Man. It has all these. If you look at just the lyrics, let alone the songs themselves, that's what Man of Peace is on that album. And it's just, I love that. I think it's one of his best albums. And it's. Can
I give you some trivia about Dire Straits quickly, since you're on Dire Straits? So I went to school with a guy called Terence Reis. He's a Portuguese dude, and in drama and film school. And Terence was obsessed about playing the guitar, but all he ever played was Dire Straits. That's all he played. Cut to decades later, he became the front man for Dire Straits, the Dire Straits Experience, and now travels the world being that dude that plays the guitar.
No way.
Look, those are some great riffs.
That's dreaming. That's a man who knew how to dream.
Dare I would say he was persistent and did a Dire Straits persistency.
A Mark Knopfler. Like persistency.
I mean, he was embodying Mark Knopfler. He was embodying him, and now he's a dude.
So right, this is turned from Where Are They Now, Mark Vicente, to rock and roll.
Where did
trivia.
they get to?
This is what Mark and I would do. We'd go talk about growing the men's group, and then we just riff on life shit.
Yeah.
And then,
yes.
All right,
that's the good old days.
Yes. Like, all right, call you tomorrow.
All right.
Gotta go. Next meeting.
Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta call. Okay.
That was me all the time. All the time.
Yeah. And
all right, what are we talking about?
Probably we'll end this call the same way. Okay, so we're going to talk about, this is your third time on a little bit culty, I believe.
That's right. That's right.
Where are you now? So I think the world knows you've spent how many years now making your film?
This is 5 years now. 5 years.
Yeah. About as long as we've been doing this podcast.
5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
Tell us the journey.
Yeah. So basically,
how'd you start?
remember when Bonnie was basically giving us all the articles to help us figure out what's going on, and she made that first list. Mm-hmm. And she was trying to explain to me like what narcissism actually was versus like what we were all taught by, fuckface.
A narcissist.
A narcissist. And then I think around 2019, after the trial, she said to me, I think you should make a film about narcissism. And I thought, actually, that's a really good idea, because I was so obsessed with trying to understand like how it worked. So I think we did our first, reached out to Scott, who did our first shoot we began prepping in 2020, did our first shoot in 2021, which was actually, I think it was with Dr. Ramani. And then we went to, I think, Macedonia or Prague or wherever it was. We did a whole bunch of stuff. So basically, we've been going for 5 years, and it became my obsession. I'm really happy, like we're finally like at the finish line. But here's what's cool. In the film, which you guys have seen, I get to sit down and I get to interview these people with these pathologies, right? Mm-hmm. We never got that opportunity with Raniere. Like, he never admitted anything. He never told us who he was. Yes, we saw him in court, the way he behaved. But like in some ways it was healing, because I got to interview him, the archetype of him, through other people. And I got to understand, oh, this is what's going on. Or this is how it works. This is what he would never confess, if he even was aware. Because talking to self-aware narcissists is really interesting, because some of them really have deep insight into their behavior. They say they don't have a choice, which I don't know if that's true, but they have deep insight into their behavior and very deep insight into what they do to other people and why and how much they enjoy it, right?
That's an incredibly valuable asset that you've put forward to people, because I don't think anything like it exists.
Well, also...
Does it?
Not that I know of.
If you remember our Dan Shaw interview, and one of the things we were talking about with these kinds of people is they never put themselves in a position or conversation they can't curate, which is, I don't know, how many others have been done, or why these people break that mold, or maybe you just found people that broke that mold and are kind of getting the attention from revealing their psychology, still doing the behavior while explaining the behavior.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. I mean, I remember having a conversation because we reached out to H.G. Shooter, right? I had a conversation with him, and I just wanted to be upfront, and I just said, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you going to do this? And he says, because I'm going to get something out of it. And I said, okay. I said, what exactly? He said, well, I'm going to get an audience. I'm going to get fuel, and you're going to get what you want. Very clean discussion.
Transactional.
Very transactional. The same with all of them. I mean, I think what happens is being on YouTube, whatever, being on the internet is a lot of fuel. Being in a film is like a lot of fuel. So they just spoke. I mean, it was kind of insane. I was like kind of surprised. And by the way, there's some stuff that's not in the film that's way worse. Like H.G. Shooter told me stuff that I thought, that's amazing. I put it in the cut. It was so dark that the audience couldn't recover from how dark it was. Like they went down a hole. Can you share it
or no?
There was one thing he said, there was a few, but there was one thing he said that really struck me. He said that he was, I guess, dating or with some woman who basically left him. And he just waited. I think he waited for like 7 years. And then what he did is he basically started to encroach back into her life. At this point, she was married, she had children, she had an amazing life. He worked his way back into her life. He seduced her and blew up her entire marriage and destroyed her entire family and everything. And I thought to myself, that level of evil, like where you just play the long game for maybe 7 or 9 years or whatever it was, to completely destroy somebody who left you less than a decade before, that's a level of like strategy and evil that's profound. But the problem is it was so dark the way he said it that I was like, the audience can't come back from that. Because like we do try to give the audience some solutions at the end, as you saw. If it goes too dark, I mean, look, it's already fucking dark. But there were some things like that. That's too much. Too much.
Yeah. Did you feel like you gained more insight into what happened with us and with Keith doing the film?
I did. There's so many different things. I mean, I think one of the things is that, I just saw how we kept on projecting on an empty wall, like, to different degrees. Like we kept on projecting stuff on him that was based on our own values. And when they talk about themselves as empty, they really are empty. But what they can do is they're good chameleons. In some ways, they're kind of good actors. They basically mirror back to you everything that you want. That's why, like, let's take Nippy, for instance, like, your love of the ideas of democracy and the founding fathers and all that shit. He would mirror that back to you, and it moved you. I mean, it moved Jim as well, rest in peace and all that. Jim would cry about those things, and he believed that Raniere understood those values better than even he did. So that was one thing. The other thing that I didn't understand, but did later, and I saw this with Raniere and a new woman that came into the organization. I remember once we were in Apropos, and I'm not going to say who it is. It's an actress who you know very well, starts with the letter R, blonde. And I remember, yeah, exactly. And I remember her walking out that back door to the parking lot, and he and I were talking. And he pretty much pushed me over, like pushed me to get to her. And I was like, it was so weird because it was like the act of a desperate boy going after a girl. And I'd never seen him do that before. But there was something, he was so desperate about it. And I thought to myself, let's say you're a complete psychopath. Like, why would you be desperate? Well, the thing that's interesting, and I don't know what his actual pathology is, but I realized that they actually idolize their targets. Before the target's going to become a target, they idolize them. They actually kind of like fall for them. They become obsessed with their target, which I didn't realize until the person they're obsessed with doesn't behave the way they think they should behave based on the internal picture of the person. And that's when they start destroying them and devaluing them. Like, they live in a fantasy world. I didn't quite understand the level of fantasy that Raniere must have lived in to do some of the stuff he did. We can say, yes, he's evil and all of that, but there were some very boyish things that he did. That was one example. Like, obsessed like a teenage boy about some girl who was walking out the room that he just had to get to. That impulsiveness.
That's also consistent. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, impulsive. Yeah.
I was going to say also consistent with what we know about his reaction with some of the sisters, like kissing Ben or the other, like finding out that they maybe had a crush on somebody else. Like, he couldn't handle that.
Yeah, like the whole cock measuring fucking text messages bullshit. I mean, my
Jesus.
God.
I forgot about that.
God.
Yeah,
I mean, when you're 13,
child.
maybe, but like, come on, grow up.
I didn't do that at 13.
You didn't? Did it at 27?
Closer to my 20s, yeah.
Yeah, but this dude was like, he was like late 50s at this point, come on.
Before we hear from our sponsors, just a quick reminder. Our book, A Little Bit Culty, Navigating Cults, Control, and Coercion, is officially out and available on Amazon.
Signed pre-orders have closed, but you can still get your copy today. This book is the culmination of 5 years of conversations, interviews, and research. Everything we've learned about how people get pulled into high-control groups and how to avoid, escape, or heal from them.
If you've been listening to the podcast and want a deeper go-to resource, this is it.
Available now on Amazon in print and as an ebook for Kindle. And yes, the audiobook is coming soon, narrated by us.
Just search A Little Bit Culty and grab your copy. Do it.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for listening. Now, let's dive back into the cultiverse.
I know.
I wonder if he's measuring cocks in prison.
Oh, I'm sure there's, yes, I'm not, I'm going to keep it clean. There is a kind of measuring going on, and I think he's the recipient of it.
Oh.
Mark, you mentioned that guy waited 7 years ago, ruined his ex's wife. That's why I think, you need to monitor Keith in jail.
I agree. I agree. Listen, if this guy ever gets out,
that's all he has.
We're fucked.
That's all he has, right? So he's sitting around concocting ways, probably manipulating people.
But like, people still listen to his phone calls, right? Like those phone calls are monitored, aren't they?
They are. The BOP monitors them, but I don't know. Maybe he talks in code, or I don't know. But then again, I really have problems with lawyers because, like, his lawyers can tell him anything from somebody else. Client confidentiality and all that. So, like, I don't know. Do the BOP evaluate those messages well? I mean, I would hope they do, but maybe they don't. So I don't know.
Speaking of the long game, do you remember there was a module that was like about suppressives level 2? I think it was like the best game in town, or there was a module. Yes. I don't remember. I think it was some
delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's where we learned that suppressive people, aka him, instead of like if you were a jealous neighbor, or they got the job you wanted or whatever, you wouldn't just scratch the car and as an impulse, you would slowly poison the dog over time.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah, so he did tell us that the long game was the best game for a suppressive sociopath.
It's
narcissist.
Amazing because it was all in there. I mean, literally, I would sit there like interviewing some of these people, because some of them I spent days with, some of the people in the film I spent days with. And I would sit there sometimes and they would say something and I would suddenly realize, oh my God, there it is. That's the thing I didn't understand before, And there's a certain charm as well. I mean, I'll say one thing like about H.G. Tudor. He has a kind of confidence that seems impenetrable and unbreakable. And I do remember that in the mindset that I was in when I was still in ESP, I found Ranieri's confidence like a good thing because I didn't understand what I was looking at. The fact that he never seemed ruffled by anything, which wasn't true, because later when I went back and thought about it, I said, actually, he was ruffled about that and he was ruffled about that. But I just believed that he was unruffled. I thought, well, that's a level of certainty that must mean he's right. Now that wasn't an intellectual putting together of an idea. That was just a gut feeling like this dude fucking knows,
Well, it's to be expected. Like everything he felt like was like, yeah, that's part of it. And this is how you handle that. Like,
yeah.
After so many episodes and, being in this world for a while, I thought I kind of had a pretty good handle on the topic.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I learned from your film, and I wonder how you think this applies to Keith, is one of your narcissists, I won't say who, so it's not a spoiler for the audience, is how he explained that when he's looking for when he's scouting, he can tell whether or not the person wants to be healed or whether the person wants to be destroyed.
I know.
That was new. Was that a surprise for you?
That was new. That was a surprise for me too. And look, a lot of people have pushed back against that. They don't believe that. But we all have at some point self-destructive tendencies. And I've known people that just are on the path towards self-destruction. And depending on your wiring, I think there's some people that keep on going into situations, probably not consciously, because maybe he's right. Maybe they don't want healing. I think it's a minority. Maybe they want to be hurt. I mean, shit, there's a reason there's S&M exists, right? I guess, and all that bondage shit and whatever. But it's a very dark thing. Now, look, I think he was in a very performative mode as well, because I don't know if what he's saying is true. Yeah, I mean,
felt like
may have been a performance.
Was enjoying the camera a little bit. Yeah,
a lot. Yeah. But there's something about that, about the way they can scout people. It's just fascinating. And by the way, what was so interesting about that scene you're talking about is there was a woman in the audience that had flown in to see him for a tryst kind of thing. And I thought to myself, he's saying this stuff in front of her. And you can see, and I won't try and describe her because, privacy and all that, but you see her melting down in the audience. Because he's literally talking
I need to watch
about
it again.
what he's going to do to people.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there. And I was like, this is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. And because you're behind the camera, you're shooting, you're doing all this stuff. But at the same time, you're aware of this. And you're like, something's not right here. That's just horrible. Anyway, there's a long story.
And I was also surprised that he was married.
Yeah, he's married. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But listen,
my God,
I will say that I think in some ways he's done a service to the field of psychology, because I think there's a level of insight. I think it's one thing to be a psychologist that studies this shit. It's another thing to actually have it.
Intellectual versus experience.
Yeah. There's something about really having it and understanding what motivates you. Now, that's a topic for a lot of discussion because, the question is, does he understand? Does not? Whatever. I'm not sure. But I will tell you, I learned a lot.
Yeah. You have experience. There's forensics there that anyone watching superficially can get. The parallels that I saw when he was saying, what was it? Some people want to be destroyed or taken care of. What was the line?
Some people want to be healed and something like some people want to be destroyed.
Simply how he was putting diagnostics to everyone. There's not a coincidence of all the parallels between all the DOS women. And we don't have to call them all out, but they all have emotional congruencies that I'm seeing just kind of knowing them. Yeah. And I'm sure Keith developed an acumen where he can go, this person's susceptible, this person's susceptible. They're not. They're going to take some work. Like I think his forensics were able to just go, boom, this is what this is going to be. Silo these two. They're loyal. Use them to indoctrinate the others. Normalize, like I'm sure that's like, because if this is what you have a lifetime of doing, I mean, look, I got good at throwing a football because I did it all the time. Right? This is what he's been doing. We've heard from Barbouche since he's a teenager.
It's probably his persistence.
So he's mastered.
I think
he's mastered recognizing impulse sets, and just from I said this in a podcast a little while ago. Just from the fact that you and I sat down for 10 years, elicited information with the same questions to thousands of people, we got a sense of like, oh, this is probably how they're going to answer this question. And I wasn't trying to do it for any sort of manipulative reason. I just started recognizing impulse control. Right? Yeah. They could walk in and we could probably go, this is probably the module they're going to have a problem with. Yeah. Right. So Keith, with this pathology,
can you imagine?
An early age, just can walk into a room and recognize, I'm going to sleep with her in 1 month, 6 months. You know what I mean? Like if that's what he was practicing and honing, he got good at it and then was able to create an architecture around it.
It's interesting you say that because I was thinking back to like one of the things I learned from Raniere, well, we all did actually, that is actually very valuable is understanding that whatever person says, they say it based on believing something.
Yeah,
and
their base assumption.
Base assumption. If you can understand enough about them, spend time with them, you understand the base assumption. The base assumption is what drives everything, which is very NLP and also, what he taught, which is interesting because it's not like I've been able to shut that off completely. Right. When I interact with people, like I say, I start to not only analyze it, but I also feel a lot more now than I did inside ESP. Like I feel a lot more and I feel what's probably going to happen. And you're right. Somebody that's trained their whole life to do that, but uses it not to help, but to hurt. Like, of course. And that's what you see in the film. You see people that have trained themselves to do that. And I mean, look, I know the film is very shocking in some ways. I think one of the things that I was trying to do so much, remember how when we started coming out, people were saying, oh, I can't believe he's evil. I can't believe this. I can't about Raniere. And we were trying to explain to them, like, no, this should exist. Like he really is another species. He said it himself. He described those people as another species. I wanted to make a film that dissuaded people from the idea that these people could just be loved back into wholeness. Like that there really is something wrong, and just because you're a good human being and you love people, that ain't going to do shit, so I think we did do that. I think a lot of people, we did a screening at UCLA a week and a half ago. And they were all like clinicians and like the cream of the crop, and they were blown away and they were like shocked. And I was like, wow, it felt really good. I was terrified of that screening. Yeah, because I was scared because they were all like, they were experts and they loved it, So I feel like we really succeeded.
Were there parallels? Like, did they disagree, agree?
No, they pretty much agreed with everything. And they thought it was basically an amazing tool to help explain how it works. A lot of people saw the parallels like with, domestic violence and with, other kinds of sexual abuse. And they saw all the parallels because the film really has you see all of these things come from a pathology. I mean, I talk about this all the time. And I know Raniere did as well, which is sometimes irritates me. All the bad things in the world are coming from people with this pathology.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that's what we're trying to show in the film. It's true.
I totally agree.
That is where it comes from.
Keith just talked about it to hide the fact that he was one of those people.
Exactly.
And when you were talking about
he described how those people worked inside systems
and shifter strategy and all that, which is another conversation. But when you were talking about how he, systematically found those people, I still don't have an answer to this. And maybe Karen Unterreiner or one of the, OG, inner circle members would know. But do we ever know for sure if those intake sheets, like those, what are they called?
Remember those evaluation?
They were NPD evaluations.
Yeah. So who read them and what did Keith sit with them?
I can tell you what I know.
What do you know?
I can tell you what I know.
What do you know?
Talking to Mark or me?
You.
Okay.
I'm just facing this way.
After a training, because I was staffing it.
Yeah.
Karen Unterreiner gave me a box of them and told me to take them over to the shredding after everyone had done it.
That's interesting.
You're telling me this now for the first time?
I mean,
Okay, well, I will tell you that I know that there were boxes of them in the center that were never looked at.
And and they were some of them, at least
in the early years, they must have.
Were being shredded.
Maybe. I think it was just fucking wear us down.
I think in the early days, they must have looked at them and said, okay, this person's a narcissist, or this person's, grandiose.
Or I know that this person has this birthday. Go find this birthday. I want to find out how they answer these questions.
Yeah.
I just texted Karen.
How he used the
intake. I mean, and for those who don't know what we're talking about, we had to fill out this 25-page questionnaire that was basically different questionnaires from the internet, printed out and then photocopied. And we think about it, the format and the font was different choice on each. Some were multiple choice.
True, false.
Some were true or false. Some were, the format changed, the font changed. It was so bullshit. But we were told that they were being shipped off to be analyzed to see how we changed over time. But I think it was a way for him to see who was
anonymous.
100%.
They're supposed to be anonymous.
Our birthdays.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I found out later is that it was basically a questionnaire to determine whether somebody had narcissistic traits, or I don't know if it was NPD or just narcissistic traits. And I was like, why would he want to know that?
I think we figured it out because if you Google, am I a narcissist, or take-home test for narcissism, the questions were not only the same, but they were that was where the test was from. You just downloaded it, printed it, and then I want to be a leader. I think I can run the world. I forget the questions.
Here's a question for you, Mark.
I don't want to.
It's a good sign that we can't remember, because I can't remember either.
Yeah.
Nancy's out there yapping her gums a little bit.
She's coaching.
Yeah. Do you think she's reconciled? That's what she was next to for however many years. And do you think she has an understanding of it? Because I don't, based on what I'm seeing.
No, I don't think she has a clue.
And how do you think Keith used her?
Knowing what you know now about narcissists.
Yeah, I think what he used was, he used her. She was mission oriented. She wanted to be a good girl.
She wanted to help people.
And she wanted to be special and loved.
And smart.
And I think he used all of those things.
And had some skill sets.
Yeah, all of those things, and gave her that at first. But what was interesting later, I was telling somebody the other day, in 2015, because I was, all those executive board meetings, some of them, or green meetings, some of them, I think before you came in, Sarah, into green, some of them she was at as well. Ranieri would treat her like shit. He was just mean to her. And I remember at one point in 2015, I was taking a walk with her and saying, do you notice how he treats you? And she's like, no. I'm like, treats you really fucking badly. She just couldn't take it in, but a lot of other people could see it. That was, green meetings and executive board. So I think at first he did love bomb her. And then he made her believe that she wasn't living up to her potential, or what she should live up to. And then she spent the next decade and a half trying to live up to something. Yeah. Live up to something that she couldn't do. And he would punish her all the time, which is exactly kind of what he did to all of us. He told us we should have these goals and we should have these whatever. But when we tried to get there, he would punish us back. You guys, you saw that as well, constantly.
Mm-hmm. Mark, I remember, I don't know what year it was, but I remember I always had kind of an arm's distance relationship, especially to certain things that Nancy would say. But, a lot of times I'd be in the training and I'd be like, okay, but I was on board with what we were doing, or I thought we were doing.
Yeah.
And I remember Nancy comes in one day and she was talking about how Keith was in a meeting, ignored her, turned her back to her, and did not answer her questions directly and reprimanded her. And she was gushing about what a great master teacher he was by making her see her attachments. And I remember thinking, what a fucking dick. Why would you, she was raving about how he was doing it for this noble reason, treating her like shit. And I remember thinking, what? This is when I was peripheral. This is peripheral. This is probably when I came back to work on a film and not there for the curriculum per se, but hearing what the fuck is she talking about?
I remember her bragging also about how he would wait to the very last minute to give her the curriculum.
That's abusive.
For me as a planner, control freak, I was like, that's not okay. That's not okay.
It's not.
In the name of her growth.
In the name of your, no, people are paying lots of money. You got to get
sets you up for failure.
Yeah, and then she would actually talk about with enjoyment how she was being tortured.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. I don't know the curriculum until I get up at 8 a.m. And I go over to Keith. He downloads me.
And then I have to make him some eggs.
But by the way, that's why the first trainings were chaotic. Chaos.
Yeah. They were fucking chaos.
Chaos.
Oh my God, remember?
And we'd say things like, it doesn't make sense. And then she'd get upset and we'd say, it still doesn't make sense.
You know what I remembered the other day?
Sorry,
we're
going down memory lane.
We'll get back to your phone.
We're having a piss
in
now.
just a second. But I remember like Nippy and I just started dating. I'd come to New York to visit him. We decided to go up to Albany for New Year's. And then while we were there, they announced Mobius to start in 3 days.
Yes.
And I was like, I've got a flight. And I remember Nancy pulling me into her office and saying, what does it mean that you are a center owner and you're not taking every piece of new curriculum that Keith Raniere rolls out?
Yeah. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. It is extraordinary.
So I had to take
got
it.
those calls too.
I mean, we had to take it. Was there ever curriculum that we didn't take that was rolled out?
Also, the worst
we didn't miss a thing.
I didn't take Ethicist 2 the first time it came out. And I got so much shit for it.
Ethicist was such a load of shit.
Also, it puts you guys in a situation
it was a movie watching program
where you guys had to go make the same phone calls.
You know when that stopped though, Mark? Was with the university program.
Yeah.
Remember when they rolled out the university program in the last few months? That was my last conversation with Nancy. She called to ask me why I hadn't recruited anyone for the university program. I was like, well, $5,000 a month for the same curriculum that's ethos is kind of not really doable for the people that in my organization. Fuck you very much. Anyway.
You know, it feels so good not to feel afraid of that shit anymore, you know?
Yeah, to talk about it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that people that have been, and you guys know this because you talk to these people as well, people that have been abused by these people, when they come out and they start comparing notes and they feel the relief, not at first they're terrified, but then they start to feel the relief of being able to say whatever they want about the leadership. It's very freeing, which is why they start saying horrible things. I didn't see that part.
Yeah, it's have a free-for-all, have a bitch session with former members.
I didn't see that. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like
listen,
that.
there's gonna be a lot of things that you've gone through with us. Trying to put it all in one book so we can, give it to somebody.
So hard.
It's very hard to compile it all, but you'll appreciate it.
We're gonna make the cheat sheet top 10. Like
that was the other thing.
You like the cheat sheets?
I told you privately.
T-shirts.
The cheat sheets are amazing.
T-shirts.
I love them.
Because for people who get out of stuff and they have PTSD and they might not be able to even read a chapter, they can skip to the cheat sheet and still get.
Exactly.
But I think if you're out in public and someone has cheat sheet for love bombing and they read the back of it and go, holy shit, that happened to me. What's love bombing?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in this. Yeah. It's a conversation starter too.
Exactly.
Back to the not but and back to the movie. Yeah. Let's take a little break from the cultiverse. Here's a word from our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah, I mean, it's so good, and also very uncomfortable, as you know, which I think is important. Is uncomfortable.
You told me you stopped at about, I think, 30 minutes, and then you continued the next
40
day,
minutes. Right? Yeah, we split it up also because just the way our lives are, but I needed to just take a little breather. And yeah, the interviews are great. The twists, which we're not going to get into. Because we want people to watch it. Where can people watch it, by the way? Let's not wait till the end. Like, what's the story? What's been going on?
Yeah. So look, we've been working in this room for a long time. We actually showed a few streamers and studios an earlier cut. It was really interesting. Like, I'm not going to say the name of the studio. It's a big studio. The woman that ran things at the very top loved the film, wanted the film, were like, oh my God, this film's incredible. But their boss, a man, said there's no audience for this movie. And if you'll remember with What the Bleep, it was the same story. So a few streamers and a few studios have said like, oh, there's no audience. And we're like, you guys are fucking idiots. And then what was interesting is we started submitting it to film festivals. The normal route, you make something, submit it to film festivals, get the buzz going. We got turned down by 26 film festivals. And we were like, everybody was like, what? Everybody who's seen the film is like, what? And so we were like very puzzled. And then a few of the festivals said, it's too hot to touch. And we're like, what do you mean? It's a legal nightmare. And like, whatever. And I was like, that's interesting. But there's something about this film And maybe because it goes tangentially after power structures and how the power structures have this narcissism embedded inside of it, that seems to be terrifying people, I think.
The guardians of the gates.
Yeah, exactly. And or some of the people that make decisions at the film festivals are like kids who just don't fucking understand like what they're looking at. I don't know. But what we decided to do is, okay, we had the same problem with What the Bleep. We turned it into something amazing. You know, we're going to just start putting it out ourselves. Right. So we've been raising money as we go. We've had this amazing donation campaign, which is still going on. The people that have donated, they're going to get to see the film on May 30th. The general release will be in July. But what we'll do in between then is probably do like a weekend event where we'll show the movie like on a Friday. We'll have a bunch of panels and all the experts and people in the film and make an amazing weekend out of it. And what's basically happening, just like What the Bleep, is the audience is coming on board to promote the film, which is what we hoped would happen. Because what the streamers and studios didn't understand was that like the audience is there, they're hungry for it. And the minute they know it exists, they're going to want to tell everybody about it. Because the thing, I'm going to say it this way because I know we want to be careful. The film takes you through the experience, and you guys will probably nod your head, of what it's like to be fooled and fucked over. And it does so very effectively. And what happens to survivors, and everybody who's ever been in that kind of relationship or a cult gets asked the question, how did you not see it? Well, motherfucker, let me tell you, in an audience of 400 people at UCLA, 399 people didn't see the twist. They did not. It was a fucking surprise. One person said, yeah, I thought so. That's clinicians. That's trained people. That's people who are doctors and professors and fucking masters and everything. So I think what happens is when people see it, who have been through it, they're going to tell other people like, I want you to see this film. This film will explain why I didn't see it. This film will explain like why I stayed, because I can't explain it to you. Because that's the thing people always ask, well, why did you stay 10 years? Well, why did you stay 7 years? You know,
you're on my meme list. We send memes.
Oh, yes.
My brother sent me a meme, and I can't remember the artist, but someone like Prince or someone like that. And it was something like, the people at studios don't know what the people want. Tell them what they want.
That's true.
Tell them what they want. Right.
Yeah.
Also,
and I think if you can, I mean, I would love to help you out and get it in schools here. Sarah and I, like when we talk about our book, like I'm not good at self-promotion, but I have zero problem saying to high school parents, high school, college kids, read this book. If there's anything I feel comfortable saying is read this book. Your kids need this knowledge.
That's true.
I think you could say the same thing about your film. Right. You got to get these kids early because they're in risk of going down the road of narcissism, right? Because this new world is training narcissistic. There's no shortage of narcissistic people.
Yeah.
Right. And it's being nurtured and it's being rewarded. You need to get the kids going, this is the wrong path. And it's a soulless existence, right?
Yes.
And
100%.
I think the work we're doing, at least I feel like, hopefully, I don't think it's presumptuous, is it's soul saving.
I think
ours got sucked on, and now we're giving back by, you know.
Yeah.
That you just reminded me.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
100%.
I think I got language for it, but that's the importance of it, and I want to get you in schools. So,
I mean, I want to get into universities, you know, like
universities.
I want to get it in universities, and I want clinicians to see it, because it's one thing to study the shit. It's another thing to have an experience, you know, like in a theater with people. That's the other thing. We really want people to watch it in theaters.
Yeah.
Like we want to do a road show, you know, to go to different cities, to have people together. Because what happens is, remember like with What the Bleep? Sarah, you and I spoke about this years ago. Like people, when they finished watching it, just wanted to talk to each other. They just wanted to connect. Remember on the cruise ship, right? Everyone was talking about it. The same thing happens with this film. What happens when the credits are over is everyone's just in stunned silence at first. And then they start talking to each other. And then they start comparing notes. And then they start sharing about what happened to them. It's incredible because there's this really interesting community that builds. And often you have clinicians or people at different stages, you know, who are further along, who can talk to the people that have just come out. Or some people realize in the theater, like, oh shit, this is my marriage. That's intense. And
you need like a support group.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to do that as well. But I will tell you, and I'm not going to name names, one of the experts in the film who has many degrees, we interviewed her, and then she found out that's what her marriage was.
No.
And she said, how did I sit in that chair and be interviewed by you twice and not know. She was stunned.
You can't say who that is.
I can't say who it is.
But that's the whole thing.
You can tell us when we're not recording.
Yes, when you're not recording. Yeah.
You can never fall for it. Yeah.
That's why I love what you say in the book, you know, like when you say I can't fall for it, you're a sucker.
Yeah, you're fortifying your blind spot.
Totally.
You're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're a sitting duck for those fuckers.
If intelligence agencies know how to build a profile on somebody and get them, then cults do too. You know.
Yeah, it's
Sarah's mind is spinning.
Yeah,
think about it. To a lot of these people,
I'm picturing scenes from Aliens.
It has a mathematical feel to it.
Yeah,
the feelings I get around them, like, oh, this person's probably going to do this. That's a math.
Yeah. Well, actually, I love the way you said that, because that is kind of what I'm hoping people get, is like either the right glasses to see how the shit works or the math to know how it works.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's a bit like, remember seeing chess when I was a kid the first time, it made no sense until I understood what everything did. And then I was involved in watching the games, you know. You need to understand how shit works.
Right.
You know, because then you can be like, oh, that's what's going to happen. And then that's what's going to happen. Oh, here comes a devaluation. Oh, there we go, you know.
Also, history is really great.
History's amazing.
Pattern recognition. You know, I don't remember where it was. Someone was saying everything that's going on right now in the world right now has happened before.
Yes.
Will happen again.
Yes.
And it has a kind of
trajectory
to it that could go one of a handful of ways if these things happen, and being able to recognize it. And Winston Churchill's quote, the further back into my past I looked, the more I learned about my future.
Yes. I'm happy you said that, because you know what I've been thinking a lot about? I think, Nippy, you and I may have discussed this at one point. You know, the whole thing that's been happening in the academic world where people get pulled up in front of boards and they get interrogated and they are told you have to get training to change the way you think. And I'm like, that's the Marxist struggle sessions.
Dude,
that's the struggle sessions from China.
It's crazy.
Like, how do you not see the relationship between those two things? You know,
it's crazy. And any criticism is evidence of your perpetrating.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nasty, some of the shit that's going on right now.
Speaking of patterns, I didn't know that you were into chess. Did you hear our episode, or have you seen anything about Danny Wrench and Dark Squares, his book about chess? No. You should have him on. So let me tell you really quickly, a little tangent.
He's great. He's a great interview too.
Great interview, and you'd love his book. Are you really into chess? How did I not know this?
I just thought about like how I knew nothing as a kid, you know, and just then when I learned how it worked, I was like, oh, that's fucking amazing.
So just a quick sidebar. He was in a cult called The Collective. He was raised in the 70s and 80s in, I want to say, Utah. It doesn't matter. Arizona. And there was a medium not dissimilar to Dumpster. Should we call him her Dumpster? You know what I'm talking about? We're not going to say names. Dumpster. A medium that you may or may not have studied with. A trans person.
Yeah. You're calling her Dumpster.
That's what Keith called her. Keith used to make fun of her name and said, might as well say, what else could you call her? How about Dumpster?
That's a little guru envy.
Guru envy. Yeah.
That's true.
Remember that?
True. I do.
So he grew up with that. And the leader of it, Stephen Camp, at a certain point, everyone was searching for Bobby Fischer. And they were also kind of on lockdown because the community around was like being aggressive towards them. So they're all kind of staying at home or something like that. So they all got really into chess. And Danny got really into chess and got really good at chess. And so the leader was using him as a pawn to basically prove to the world that the group was good, the collective was good. And he got really good at chess and became like a master at a young age. And anyway, he broke free of that and now is one of the co-founders, this chief chess officer of chess.com, which is like the biggest online platform. So he went from literally having no shoes to owning this like billion-dollar company. And he wrote a book about it, and it's just fascinating.
Well, I think what you'll like about him is this. He started chess.com kind of for the love of the game. Yeah. You know? And it was like his project and didn't expect it. And then the Queen's Gambit hit.
And then COVID.
Yeah. And then COVID hit. And everyone got it. And then he has this huge company now. So it's kind of cool the way like he wasn't this guy like, I got to 10 times this. You know, he was doing it because he liked it. And then fortune hit him.
And it's a great ride.
Interesting.
Universe took care of him in a way. You know what I mean?
I definitely want to check it out. It's funny, you know. I never liked playing chess. You know, one of my hobbies.
I don't either.
I told you one of my hobbies. One of my hobbies is going to the gun range now.
That's amazing.
I go once a week to the gun range. And I've learned so much. But I've learned so much from the gun range. I will tell you, I've learned so much about breathing, relaxation. That sounds like counterintuitive. Relaxation, trust, calm and high stakes. It's been amazing. It's the weirdest hobby that you could ever imagine me doing.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the wave of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Rutherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Leslie Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Namoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.
Truckers aren't just moving goods. They're making sure bakers get their chocolate chips and hotels get their tiny soaps. But truckers can't do this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive has over 360 heavy truck employees to help truckers stay on time and on track. Quote truck insurance today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Support for this podcast comes from Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Did you know riders who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $200 per year? That's a whole new pair of riding gloves and more. Quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $197 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between October 2024 and September 2025. Potential savings will vary.
For a small business owner, every day is full of surprises. Some great, some not so great. Like when a client cancels their order at the last minute. But here's a surprise you will like. Progressive provides small business owners with 30 customizable coverage options to help keep their business going strong. So go ahead, surprise yourself. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates and third-party insurers. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.